This is CBS4 News This Morning.
Right now at 5, an investigation now underway after a traffic stop leads to a Miami police officer pulling his gun and leaving one man dead. Reaction from the police chief.
Day 14 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and no end in sight. This morning, the growing death toll as residents of Kyiv wake up to air raid sirens. How the U.S. is now trying to help.
And by the way, gay is not a permanent thing.
And as a controversial Don't Say Gay bill passes the Florida Senate, one of the senators there is speaking and criticism for her comments on why she voted for that bill.
As we do say, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, March 9th. I'm Candace Gibson. So glad to have you here with us.
And I'm Maribel Rodriguez. Thank you so much for making us a part of your morning. Meteorologist Jennifer Correa is in for us up this morning with a look at our Wednesday forecast. And we're halfway through the week already.
Yes, halfway through. Good morning, and it's starting off mild with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Right now, Pompano Beach at 77 degrees. That's a very warm start. 77 in 75 in Miami, 76 in Fort Lauderdale, 77 in Key West, and then a warm 78 degrees in Marathon. So once the sun rises, things are going to heat up pretty quickly into those low and mid 80s through the middle of the afternoon. We're expecting lots of sunshine, only a stray shower here and there this morning, but for the most part, the shower activity has been very slim, very small, little tiny showers, and mostly offshore. Now, you do notice the rain entering the panhandle across the southeast and extending down into the Gulf of Mexico. That is the leading edge of a cold front. That cold front, yes, it's headed our way. Finally, we're getting a cool down, but it's not going to happen until later this weekend, later Saturday, but a major cool down is coming our way. Before then, highs are going to get near record. We'll have all those details for you coming up.
We start our Wednesday together in Miami-Dade County, looking southbound along I-95, passing northwest 79th Street. Traffic is very light so far, and all lanes are moving up to speed between the Golden Glades and the Dolphin Expressway. It's only about an 8 to 10 minute ride. No accidents or delays at this time, but there is overnight construction on the southbound side, passing the 112, blocking 3 right lanes. In Broward County, we take an eastbound look onto 595, and all lanes are also moving up to speed here between I-75 and US 1. But on the eastbound side, after passing 441, a right lane is blocked by more overnight road work. I-75 heading northbound after Sheridan Street. 2 left lanes are also blocked there, but we're seeing no delay. That's a look at traffic. Back to you.
Chris, thank you. This morning, a traffic stop in Miami turning deadly. The police officer opening fire. And
this morning, an investigation is just beginning. CBS4's Keith Jones is live from the scene in Miami with more. Keith, good morning.
Good morning. That shooting happened here at Northwest 12th Avenue and 71st Street, actually just steps away from Northwestern High School, which is just over my left shoulder. This case lends itself to the inherent dangers of police work. After all, this just started as a traffic stop.
The City of Miami police units conducted a traffic stop in the area of Northwest 10th Avenue and 71st Street right behind us. Sometime after the traffic stop, the officers made contact with 2 occupants inside the vehicle.
City of Miami Chief of Police Manny Morales says shortly after that, things took a turn.
The officers became aware that one of the individuals in the vehicle was armed. A struggle ensued, and one of the officers discharged his firearm.
As a result, that person, whose name and age has not been released at this point, was shot and died right in the middle of the street.
The investigation is extremely preliminary at this time, so some of the details might change. There is video from the school, and there is body-worn camera video that we're still reviewing at this time.
We're also told the second suspect in the car has been taken into custody, and the officer involved has been placed on administrative leave while they investigate what happened.
As it is in every police-involved shooting with the City of Miami, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement will be taking the lead with the assistance of our homicide unit and our internal affairs section.
Again, the name and the age of the person who was shot has not been released. As for the traffic stop, why that happened in the first place remains unclear this morning. Live in Miami, Keith Jones, CBS4 This Morning.
Keith, thank you. Today marks 14 days since the start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. A live look now from Kyiv, where residents were awakened by air and raid sirens over fears Russia could launch missile attacks on the city. Many residents fleeing to bomb shelters while you were sleeping. And this morning, UN officials say more than 2 million people have fled Ukraine since the conflict began. Mass evacuations of some cities continue to be dashed as fighting rages on.
And the ripple effects of the war continue to be felt right here at home. Gas prices, which have been rising since fighting began 2 weeks ago, expected now to go even higher. President Biden announcing a ban on U.S. imports of Russian oil. And new overnight, Congress has approved a $13 billion deal to help Ukraine and European allies dealing with the refugee crisis.
CBS4's Laura Podesta has more.
The United Nations says more than 2 million people have fled Ukraine since Russia's invasion last month. Many doing so as explosions can be heard in the distance.
Absolutely insane.
Valentina made it to Romania on a ferry after she and her boyfriend looked up online how to escape safely.
We have Tesla cars and we have all that amazing technology in our world, and here comes war, the stupid war.
UNICEF says half of all refugees are children. This Ukrainian police officer said goodbye to his crying son in Irpin as the family tries to stay ahead of the Russians. Multiple ceasefires have fallen apart, leaving thousands trapped in besieged cities. This violinist celebrated International Women's Day with a performance in a bomb shelter in Kharkiv.
Ukrainians have resisted fiercely.
CIA Director William Burns told lawmakers the war will only get uglier as Vladimir Putin presses on.
Try to grind down the Ukrainian military with no regard for civilian casualties.
President Biden announced a U.S. ban on Russian oil imports to ramp up pressure on Russia.
Putin's war is already hurting American families at the gas pump.
The president said he'll try to soften the impact. Lawmakers are considering a pause on the 18-cent federal gas tax. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
And Georgia is working to suspend its gas tax, and other states are moving towards doing the same.
By the way, if you're looking for ways to try to help people in Ukraine, we have compiled a full list of trustworthy organizations, including International Medical Corps, Direct Relief, Global Giving, and Nova Ukraine. You can also see the full list at cbsmiami.com/helpukraine.
And more on the impact of the war in Ukraine. In South Florida, gas prices in Florida are just a cent below the national average of $4.17 in Miami-Dade. Prices are about $4.16 a gallon. In Broward, it's slightly higher at $4.18 a gallon. Stay with CBS4 News and CBS News for continuing coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Download our CBS Miami app for updates on the war when they become available.
And new details this morning. The White House confirming 2 American prisoners were released by Venezuelan government. This comes after a weekend of meetings. Gustavo Cardenas is an oil executive who had been in prison since 2017. And Jorge Fernandez was arrested last year on what the White House described as spurious charges. Overnight, President Biden releasing a statement thanking the diplomatic team that helped make sure this release took place. And he went on to say that even as we celebrate the return of Cardenas and Fernandez, we also remember the names and the stories of every American who is being unjustly held against their willingness in Venezuela, in Russia, in Afghanistan, Syria, and on. He continues. He says the administration will keep fighting to bring them all home. A sedan carrying 7 children involved in a deadly crash in North Broward County. Look at the wreck there. 2 adults also in the sedan traveling on US 27 near Palm Beach County when police say it bumped into the rear of a tractor trailer, sending both vehicles spinning out of control. Some victims medevac clearly. A 15-year-old boy in the car was killed. The other 6 children and 2 adults were injured, 3 of them seriously. The truck driver also suffered some minor injuries.
The so-called Don't Say Gay bill now awaits the governor's signature after being passed during the Florida Senate. Now, during the bill's debate, the discussion got emotional, at other times extremely confusing. This is what Republican State Senator Ileana Garcia said when explaining why she would vote for the bill.
And I want to start off by delineating exactly what LGBT is. And by the way, gay is not a permanent thing. LGBT is not a permanent thing, and it's not a bad thing. I say with all due respect, when they say targeting, this isn't at all about targeting. I think this is about perhaps rerouting the responsibilities back to the parents, which is what I think that this bill wants to once again delineate. I think that maybe it's a great way to have a conversation. There's something that I learned from Senator Baxley is these bills are great topics for happy hour. They're a great topic for conversation. That's what we are as a republic, a practicing democracy. That's what we do.
What?
Garcia telling stories about the LGBTQ plus people in her life, and at one point even misgendering a trans person she identified as one of her good friends. The bill passed in a 22-17 vote.
That speech getting a lot of traction, and understandably so. Wow. We're going to move on to the weather front right now because things are looking up. A busy day ahead. The Calle Ocho Festival.
Yes, happening this weekend. It's one of the biggest street festivals in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, in Little Havana.
Jennifer, what's the weather going to be like?
Well, so by Sunday, it's going to be much cooler. Actually, in the morning, waking up in the mid-50s, that's a big dramatic change because out ahead of the front, things are really heating up. So right now, it is very warm. Right now, we're 76 degrees, and the high for Sunday is actually in the low and mid-70s. Quite a difference there. But before we get to Sunday, Saturday's high is potentially going to tie that record of 87 degrees. Back to you.
The leader of the Proud Boys arrested at his home in Miami on charges related to the Capitol insurrection. We'll tell you what his parents are telling CBS4.
4 men charged with a plot to kidnap Michigan's governor over COVID restrictions are about to get their day in court.
And this morning, a Lyft driver sits behind bars after he's accused of sexually assaulting, then stealing from a passenger. More on his arrest coming up at 5:30.
And a reminder, you can take us with you. If you're on the go, just download the CBS News app and look for us at CBS News Miami. We'll be right back.
Now, CBS4 weather.
Warm Wednesday ahead. Hey there, South Florida. Temperatures right now sitting in the mid to upper 70s for the most part. 77 in Pompano Beach and 78 degrees in Marathon. Temperatures will, of course, continue to rise, especially once that sun is up. And so highs today will get close to the mid 80s, even hotter as we start off the weekend. Your 7-day forecast coming up soon.
Jen, thank you. A major development concerning the crisis at the Capitol. The South Florida man who led the far-right group, the Proud Boys, now facing conspiracy charges after he's arrested in connection to the attack.
And quite an arrest, a pre-dawn one in his underwear. Brooke Schaefer is live outside his Miami home to explain. Brooke.
Well, Candace and Maribel, we actually spoke with his mother. She told CBS4 she thought it was overkill that FBI agents showed up here at his home in Miami with guns drawn.
FBI, come to the door!
Before the sun came up yesterday morning, the FBI was at the door of 38-year-old Henry, or Enrique, Tarrio, the former leader of the Proud Boys.
FBI, come to the door!
The FBI surrounded his home on the 5700 block of Northwest 2nd Street in Miami. Tarrio came out making a peace sign gesture. Then he was placed in handcuffs. He's been indicted on charges related to the January 6th Capitol insurrection, including conspiracy, obstructing an official proceeding, assault, and destruction of government property.
I'm not going to worry about people that their only worry in life is to be reelected.
Tarrio was interviewed by CNN last year, shortly after the insurrection. He had this to say about members of Congress.
I'm not going to cry about a group of people that don't give a crap about their constituents. I'm not going to sympathize with them.
Although he's not accused of physically taking part in the breach of the Capitol, the indictment says he helped plan, direct, and lead other members, and even claimed credit on social media in an encrypted chat room. He is expected back in court on Friday. I'm live in Miami. Brooke Schaefer, CBS4 This Morning.
Ontario's arrest comes as a jury found convicted the first defendant in a criminal trial related to the Capitol riot. A jury convicted Guy Reffitt, who is from Texas, of 5 counts related to the attack, among them carrying a gun during the riot. He has been in jail since January of last year. His son actually turned him in and testified against him in court. Although Reffitt never entered the Capitol building, he could still face several charges, several years in prison.
Happening today, opening statements are set to begin in the trial of 4 men plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. A jury was seated, yesterday, and the judge told jurors and their alternates to stay off social media and not discuss the case with family. Prosecutors say the men plotted the kidnapping over being upset with COVID restrictions Whitmer enacted in the state. The defense is planning an entrapment defense, criticizing the use of undercover FBI agents and confidential informants.
Well, this morning, 6 teenagers now under arrest and facing murder charges for that deadly drive-by shooting outside an Iowa high school that we told you about. The shooting happened Monday at a high school in Des Moines, and it left a 15-year-old who didn't attend the school dead, as well as 2 girls in the hospital. Police say the 6 teenagers, who are between the ages of 14 and 17, were arrested. Several weapons have been recovered.
On this Wednesday, we're starting off very warm, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Also, it's pretty quiet on the radar, just some light drizzles offshore. 1 or 2 showers could roll over parts of the lower Keys, but that's about it. Winds turning out of the southeast today. Meantime, there's rain spreading across the southeast and the Florida Panhandle, which is some good news. Some of that moisture helping to fight those fires. Now, this is the cold front that's headed our way, arriving in South Florida by Saturday night. So around noontime Saturday, the leading edge of the front will be just to the north of Lake Okeechobee. We could see a few showers, not until late Saturday night and into Sunday morning, maybe a few clouds hanging around. But this is going to kick in a very cold air mass, because compared to what we're dealing with now, this is going to be a dramatic change. Temperatures are going to drop from the upper 80s for the high Saturday out ahead of the front. Saturday afternoon, the forecast high will reach 87 degrees, which is a record in Miami. And then we'll wake up in the mid and upper 50s Sunday morning. Now for today, boaters, the breeze picking up a little bit here and there, up to 15 miles per hour out there. Seas in the Keys 3 to 4 feet. So small craft operators should exercise with caution. Highs today getting into those mid 80s, a forecast high of 84 for Miami. Don't forget that also Saturday night we'll have those clocks spring forward. All right, let's check in with Chris Barr. How are those roadways looking?
Well, Jennifer, we head back to Miami. Update southbound view of the Palmetto Expressway passing northwest 122nd. And it looks like all lanes are slightly traveled so far, and we're moving up to speed here between the Big Curve and the Don Shula. Miami-Dade is crash-free, and the same for Broward County. There is overnight construction, though, still in place on I-95 heading southbound at the 112, blocking 3 right lanes, but right now we see no delay on the approach there. Broward County is also incident-free this morning. We just look out for a disabled vehicle on the southbound side of I-95 passing Commercial Boulevard that's blocking the right shoulder, and construction has now been cleared from the eastbound side of 595 after 441. The right lane has been reopened. That's a look at traffic. Back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks. 5:20 now. Wildfires rage in the Panhandle. Up next, an update on efforts to stamp out the flames.
And also ahead, you may have heard about COVID patients losing their sense of smell and taste. Well, now some researchers are working on a new way to restore it.
And big developments in the court cases linked to the Surfside building collapse. Details on what was just announced, including a settlement, ahead at 5:30.
CBS4 News is sponsored by Toyota of Hollywood. Shop and save in a safe and sanitized environment with over 1,500 Toyotas on sale up to 50% less.
Well, this morning, a group of wildfires known as the Chipola Complex has now burned more than 29,000 acres in the Florida Panhandle. Most of that is from the Bertha Swamp Fire, which has prompted evacuations in Calhoun County. Now, fire officials say it is only 10% contained.
New York police are searching for an arsonist linked to a number of brush fires in Central Park. Firefighters had to put out 10 small areas of brush burning in the park yesterday. Windy conditions helped the flames spread, but crews were able to extinguish the flames before they caused any real damage. Police are now interviewing witnesses who say they saw a man intentionally setting the fires. The attorney for Prince Andrew says he has paid a settlement to sexual abuse accuser Virginia Giuffre. The deal, which was submitted in court yesterday, now needs a federal judge to sign off on it. Court documents say a deal was reached in February where Prince Andrew agreed to pay Giuffre an undisclosed amount and her charity supporting victims' rights. Giuffre accused Jeffrey Epstein of trafficking her and forcing her to have sex with his friends, including Prince Andrew. She said that Andrews was aware she was underage at the time. The prince denied the abuse and even denied knowing her.
Moving to the pandemic now, and researchers in Philadelphia are testing a new way to restore the sense of smell to COVID patients. Now, losing the sense of smell and taste, for that matter, has become a long-haul symptom of COVID. Well, now researchers at Jefferson Health in Philly are using patients' own blood to help recover the sense. They say the results are promising.
You put it up very high in the nose where all the smell fibers are located. It gets absorbed through the lining of the nose. It basically helps those cells that have been damaged by the COVID virus to start regenerating.
Well, that's fascinating. And doctors say 8 out of 9 patients who had the treatment have responded positively to it.
Yeah, very positive, isn't sure. 5:30 now. Another check of this morning headlines is next.
And also ahead, caught on camera, Palm Beach deputies need your help. They're trying to find a man who opened fire into a police car there. More on this video next.
Plus, one South Florida restaurant now looking to help Ukrainian refugees fleeing the country. What they're doing next.
Hi there, South Florida. Temperatures are heating up into the mid-80s today and then the upper 80s when we start the new weekend. It's all out ahead of that cold front that is sweeping into the Florida Panhandle this morning. Those details on how cool it's going to get here in South Florida coming up.
This is CBS4 News This Morning.
Right now at 5:30, another Lyft driver under arrest, facing charges after he's accused of sexually assaulting, then robbing an intoxicated passenger. How the company is now responding.
A South Florida teachers union demanding action after a teacher is attacked and hospitalized by a 5-year-old child. What they want next.
Wow. And a live look outside right now, downtown Miami right now on this Wednesday morning. Temperatures on the rise, but some relief on the way. Jennifer Carrera is here this morning with those details.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait just a few more days. We'll get there, right? We're live on air and always streaming on CBS News Miami with the CBS News app. It is 5:30 Wednesday, March 9th. I'm Maribel Rodriguez.
And I'm Candace Gibson. Thank you guys for being here with us. It is a busy morning ahead from a weather standpoint. It is a relative calm, I guess, before a little messiness.
Cool.
Yeah, coolness.
Yeah, it's definitely quiet in the weather department, which is nice. We could use some rain though, but anyone that's getting or whoever's getting showers today is going to be isolated, which right now in the morning, Key West is dealing with showers, but notice how they're mainly offshore. This is a little heavy right here developing, so just boaters beware. If you go due west or towards the northwest of Key West, you're going to be dealing with this batch of rain, but elsewhere nice and dry, and we're going to keep things dry out of a south-southeast breeze. Any showers that develop this afternoon will be over the Everglades. Now, by tomorrow, we have a better chance for spotty showers, tracking a little closer to the east metro areas as winds begin to turn more out of the southwest. Temperatures starting off in the mid and upper 70s. Oh, it is such a warm start. The average high for this time of year is 80 degrees, so we'll be topping way above 80 because we're going to get to a high of 85 in a few spots, and then the upper 80s out ahead of this front. Later on this weekend, I'll have all these details coming up. Now let's check in with Chris. How are those roadways looking?
Still looking pretty good, Jennifer. Another look into Miami-Dade and the expressways now. We are taking a northbound view of I-95, passing Northwest 151st Street, just south of the Golden Glades interchange. All lanes are still moving up to speed this morning, and traffic is still pretty light between the Glades and the Dolphins. Still just about a 10-minute ride there. Overnight construction is still blocking 3 right lanes on the southbound side, passing the 112 Airport Expressway, but right now there is no delay passing the scene. Now we head to the big picture and take a big look at Broward County. All expressways are still up to speed here and crash-free. Overnight construction is in place, still blocking 2 left lanes on I-75 heading northbound just after Sheridan Street. That's a look at traffic. Back to you.
Chris, thank you. Now here's a look at some of your morning headlines. One man is dead, another in custody after a police-involved shooting in the city of Miami. This happened at Northwest 10th Avenue and 71st Street near Northwestern High School. Investigators say an officer was trying to stop a car with 2 people inside. When he did, one of those people inside was armed, and that's when a struggle ensued, forcing the officer to fire. That person died on the scene. Another passenger in the car was taken into custody. The FDLE is now investigating. It is day 14 of the Russian invasion in Ukraine. This morning, people living in the city of Kyiv were awakened by air raid sirens over fears of a Russian missile attack. The UN says more than 2 million people have fled Ukraine. The United States and its allies are targeting the Kremlin's war chest with new sanctions. Yesterday, President Biden imposed a ban on Russian energy imports, including oil and natural gas. This morning, the White House has confirmed 2 American prisoners have been released by the Venezuelan government. Gustavo Cárdenas is an oil executive who has been in jail since 2017. Jorge Fernandez was arrested last year on what the White House described as spurious charges. Overnight, President Biden released a statement thanking Special Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs Roger Cartons and the entire diplomatic team for bringing them home. The former leader of the Proud Boys is now under arrest and facing charges in connection to the crisis at the Capitol. Enrique Tarrio is expected to have a detention hearing on Friday. He was arrested on Tuesday by the FBI at his Miami home. Tarrio has been indicted on charges related to the January 6 Capitol breach, including conspiracy, obstructing an official proceeding, assault, and destruction of government property. He was not in D.C. when the attack happened.
And also this morning, a Lyft driver is waking up behind bars after he's accused of raping and then robbing an intoxicated passenger. You see him there making his first court appearance. It's the second time in a week that something like this has taken place involving Lyft drivers. CBS4's Deborah Souverin is live at the West Miami-Dade jail where he is being held with the details on this. Deborah.
Candace, you said it. This is the second time in less than a month that a ride-sharing driver has been arrested, accused of sexually assaulting one of their passengers. And that latest driver is here at TGK. He'll be waking up in jail. But people who spoke with CBS4 say this latest arrest has them feeling uneasy about using ride-sharing apps.
It's alarming. It's like, who can we trust to get home? I think it's disgusting because I think I have more trust in humanity.
Alarmed and disgusted. Sarah and Emily on vacation from Virginia reacting to news of a second Lyft driver getting arrested in as many weeks for sexually assaulting a drunk female passenger.
You were arrested for serious charges and credit card fraud, grand theft.
Samuel Bucevecchi facing a judge after Miami Beach police say the 35-year-old Lyft driver dropped a young woman off at a South Beach restaurant February 10th, giving her his number, then picking her back up a few hours later.
The driver in this instance provided his cell phone number to the victim in the case. So they can meet up later for a ride and return.
Which is exactly what happened. Police say the 35-year-old brought her back to her room here at the Eden Rock, where he sexually assaulted her. The Lyft driver denying the allegations until police showed him irrefutable video evidence.
She's seen on video surveillance being carried by this man, unable to walk on her own, appears to be extremely intoxicated. Video surveillance shows them entering her hotel room.
Judge, this is the second case in the last few weeks where a ride-share driver has allegedly taken advantage of an intoxicated tourist.
Less than 2 weeks ago, it was Lyft driver Kevin Rojas facing the same judge, making the sign of the cross, accused of an eerily similar crime by Miami Beach police, raping his intoxicated female passenger in his own car. It's leaving these young tourists thinking twice about how they'll get back to their hotel after dinner.
I like to think that it's not going to happen to me, despite how it can happen.
And Lyft released a statement that reads in part, "Safety is fundamental to Lyft. What is being described is horrifying, and the driver's access to Lyft has been permanently removed. We have reached out to the rider for our support." And to make matters worse, police say this man allegedly stole money from this woman, and he also stole her cell phone, which he used to access even more Lyft rides on his way back home from that sexual assault. We're live from TGK. I'm Deborah Souverain, CBS4 This Morning.
Deborah, thank you. Caught on camera another incident of aggression towards a law enforcement officer. In this case, the Citizen Patrol vehicle seen on camera was unoccupied. It happened Monday in Green Acres, a city in Palm Beach County. Surveillance video captured a man fire at the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office car and then ran off on foot. If you have any information about who this man is, call police.
Okay, so this is wild. A local special ed teacher badly injured after being attacked by a 5-year-old. Now, police say Tricia Meadows was slammed to the ground by the child and also punched and scratched at the Pine Lakes Elementary School. This all started when the 5-year-old and another student began being disruptive in the classroom and were told to calm down. The 5-year-old became aggressive. The teachers' union says more needs to be done now.
We can talk about this is a continuous problem, not just here, but the teachers are really under assault these days.
No, it's a continuous problem, and it's, you know, I'm watching out on the social media platform. People like, how could this possibly happen from a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old? Well, let me make it clear. It does happen, and it has happened, and it's still continuing to happen. It shouldn't take months. From the first moment that anger, that violence, that attack happened, it should have never happened again. Again, the district's fault. They should have done better.
There have been no arrests or charges filed against that 5-year-old.
The owner of a former Miami-Dade daycare has taken a plea deal. She was charged in the death of a 2-year-old boy who was left in a hot van more than 5 years ago. Karen Aviles was in court Tuesday morning and pleaded guilty to aggravated manslaughter charges. She was sentenced to 4 months in jail, followed by 10 years of probation. Her attorney says she was held responsible for the death of 2-year-old Angel Matute Chavez simply because she owned the Vision for Life Academy. He says she was driving the van that was transporting a group of kids that day, but she's not the one who unloaded the kids out of it when it arrived back to the daycare.
If you look at and you analyze the facts of this case, I believe that there's someone else out there who will remain nameless, who is actually and factually and legally responsible for this death, who has gone unprosecuted and will go unprosecuted.
The tragedy happened back in September of 2016. The daycare was shut down by the Florida Department of Children and Families just days after the boy's death. The daycare was not licensed to transport children.
I mean, this is the epitome of sticker shock. Rent prices are 30% over last year in Miami, and many people are looking for help. This group here asking for a tenant's bill of rights, the right to legal help, and advance notice before rent hikes can take effect. They rallied there and were joined by Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava at this event. She said the county is taking some steps to help out.
We are aggressively building housing units that are more affordable. We're working with existing landlords who have housing that's affordable, but it needs repair, to get the money to make those repairs in return for keeping the housing affordable. We're also looking at accelerating permitting, bringing down building costs, and county property. And because of their advocacy, we are now creating a new office of housing advocacy.
The event was organized by the Miami Workers Center.
And now to the latest in the Surfside building collapse. More money will be going to settlement pool for victims and their families. Also, there's now an additional part in the class action lawsuit against the 18-story tower next to the former Champlain Tower South. Let's start with the settlement pool. We're learning the Condos Association's law firm and engineer, along with the engineer of the 87 park, agreed to pay a settlement of $55.6 million. This was to avoid any trial. So now the settlements and proceeds pool totals almost $226 million, and that number could grow. There is a minimum $120 million bid for the land of the former building, which could become more. The auction for the land is late next month. And now to the class action lawsuit against the 18-story condo. Surfside Buildings are alleging that architects, Stantec engineers, Florida Civil, and a drilling vibration monitoring firm called actively neglected during construction of it. It also states the Association for 87 Park should be held accountable. The plaintiffs already sued the developers. And now to more of our coverage of the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Many have been trying to help Ukraine as they go through the unthinkable, and that includes South Florida restaurant. The owners of Virus Grill have announced a campaign to help Ukrainian refugees.
We're going to provide the first home to stabilize here, the job, the training.
The restaurant group says it will bring about 50 to 60 Ukrainian refugees to Miami. Besides a job at one of their 5 locations, the restaurant will give them a place to live and even provide legal immigration help. They will have a link on their website where people can apply. And if you're looking for ways to help, we do have a list of trustworthy organizations. You can see the full list at cbsmiami.com/helpukraine.
So this is considered meteorological spring, but it sure as heck feels like summer.
It does, yeah.
In Africa.
Welcome to Miami.
Exactly. I'm getting that
Miami.
sense.
I will say, though, the relative humidity is still relatively low compared to what we get in the summertime. Yeah, so, I mean, it does feel a tad muggier, but certainly not sweltering, at least not yet. Temperatures right now are sitting mainly in the mid-70s. Now, we will warm up to well above average for those daytime highs. Here's a look at your bus stop forecast. I give it a grade A because it's a nice start. We're not dealing with much rain, only an isolated shower near the Keys. Back to you.
Are you sure you're not grading on the curve with that? I mean, that's, wow, an A. We haven't had that in a while.
I know.
Okay, speaking of A, Apple fans, did you catch the big reveals? If you missed it, we're going to show you what new products could soon be in your pockets or home.
And it's a day to celebrate the world's most famous doll. Barbie is celebrating her birthday today. A look back at how it all started.
CBS4 News streaming 24 hours a day on the free CBS News app. Be sure to take us with you as you head out the door.
But first, here's a look at this morning's winning lottery numbers. Good luck, everyone. We'll be right back.
Now, CBS4 weather.
Happy Wednesday, South Florida. We have a front coming Saturday night. So we have a few days before then, which means we're going to heat things up out ahead of this front. But this front will pass through overnight. Saturday, by Sunday morning, feeling much cooler. That front itself is moving through the southeast and the panhandle at this moment. Your full 7-day forecast in a few minutes.
Okay, appreciate it, Jennifer. Now to a developing story, and something appears to be moving. A glimmer of hope. Late-night negotiations between Major League Baseball and the Players Union have come to an end. But mind you, it ended just about a couple hours ago, 3 o'clock in the morning. They're trying to work out a deal. They're set to resume talking later on this morning when they finally wake up. A deadline was set for Tuesday night in order to reportedly be able to play the 162-game season. And last week, you'll recall, the commissioner canceled the first 2 series of the season. So far, no additional games have been canceled.
Oh, late night must have been exhausting.
Yeah.
And now to a consumer alert. Apple has unveiled a new iPhone, iPad, and more at its first launch event of the year. Apple CEO Tim Cook made the big reveal on Tuesday. Highlights include a new budget iPhone SE, an updated iPad Air, and a more powerful Mac chip called the A15 Bionic chip. And just in time for St. Paddy's Day, that sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it does.
Just in time for St. Paddy's Day, Apple announced the iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro will each be available in a new variant of green. You can pre-order your new models starting Friday. And March is Women's History Month, so to celebrate all of us, you can get a glimpse of a free exhibit of floral masterpieces.
It is celebrating women of cultural significance and historical impact. It's called Fleur de Ville Femme at the Bal Harbour Mall. All of the flowers that you're seeing are chosen locally. There are 16 mannequins all around the mall with a huge train of more than 3,000 flowers. One of them includes Miami's own Gloria Estefan, who's wearing exotic flowers. Oh, I see.
Of course.
Which were chosen to match a picture of the Congo Queen in all her regalia. You have until Sunday to give yourself a self-guided tour It's a free
that is
event.
beautiful, stunning, right?
Those are really pretty.
Gorgeous. Well, are you a Barbie girl? Okay. Well, today is National Barbie Day. Barbie made her debut on this day in 1959 at the American International Toy Fair in New York. Since then, Barbie has done everything from teaching and nursing to being a CEO and an astronaut. She has even run for president, and she looks fantastic.
She does, considering she's 62 years old. She should be receiving Social Security now. It's her first year of Social Security.
She doesn't age. She doesn't age.
No,
that's
not
for sure.
at all. Life in plastic is fantastic. Hey, Jennifer.
Oh, it takes me back.
I want to live
Now
like
the
that.
earworm is going to be stuck. Live like that.
That song.
In a box. How's it looking? How's that one little speck that was off Key West that we're tracking?
Yeah, so we're going to zoom into the lower keys. This speck turning more than just a speck, right? So it's more like a batch of showers, but look how it just stays offshore. I would say less than 3 miles offshore, maybe around 5 miles. But anyway, these showers are moving due north, so it looks like for now they're going to stay away from any land. However, if you look at the last image of this loop, you see a little shower there developing. That could be an impact for Key West later, maybe in the next hour or so, if it holds together. By this afternoon, the rest of South Florida, much of South Florida, would actually be dry on the radar as most of the shower activity develops inland and it stays inland over the Everglades. Now, tomorrow, a little bit of a different setup. We'll start to see that flow change more out of the southwest, and that will help to target these showers into the east metro areas. Temperatures right now in the mid and upper 70s, and for boaters, just small craft operators should exercise with caution. Those are the waters surrounding the Keys, but elsewhere, no advisories. Highs today, 84 degrees. We're going to hit that around 2 o'clock, stay like that through the afternoon, so very warm, and then into tonight, dropping into the mid and upper 70s, staying mild out there. Highs reaching 87 degrees Saturday, much cooler Sunday. All right, let's check in with Chris Farr. He has a look at traffic.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, South Florida. We have some more company on the roads now throughout Miami-Dade, but that also comes with some good news. 3 right lanes are now reopened on the southbound side of I-95, passing the 112 Airport Expressway, and all lanes are still up to speed this morning between the Golden Glades and the Dolphin. Construction has also been cleared here on 595 after 441. The right lane has been reopened, and we are still moving up to speed. It's just a 10-minute ride along 595 between I-75 and US 1. It's only going to take about 5 minutes on 95 heading southbound between 595 and Hallandale Beach Boulevard. That's a look at traffic. Back to you.
Chris, thank you. 5:51 in the morning. A new season of Survivor premieres tonight.
And one contestant is representing South Florida. Hear what the 22-year-old has to say about living out a dream next. Good morning. Welcome back. Well, tonight on CBS4, get ready, Survivor fans. The Emmy Award-winning series returns for its 42nd edition with a special 2-hour premiere. And one of the contestants is one of our own. Weston's Zach Wurtenberger is ready to show the world he is ready to outwit the competition to bring home the CBS reality competition's grand prize.
My name is Zach, I'm a student, and I'm from South Florida. Survivor is genuinely one of the most important things in my life.
22-year-old Zach Wurtenberger from Weston is ready to outwit, outplay, and outlast in Survivor Season 42. We caught up with the castaway who is now attending Washington University in St. Louis. So how much do you miss South Florida?
Right now, as I look out my window at the not so sunny weather, I miss it a lot.
Zach, who graduated from Cypress Bay High School, says being on the show is a dream of his ever since he was in diapers.
I was born in 2000. The show started in 2000. So I've been watching basically out of the crib. And I always wanted to be on the show. And now that I actually am, it really is a dream come true.
Zach will be stranded in the beautiful island of Fiji with 17 other determined castaways, each with their own strengths. His is more mental rather than physical.
I think that speech and debate did give me a lot of confidence when it came to doing the casting interviews and going through that whole process. And it gave me a lot of confidence in myself that I feel like maybe a lot of people at my age necessarily wouldn't have going through that process.
A process that started several years ago. He was cast in 2020. The show was canceled because of COVID. However, he was invited to play this year, where he'll be facing the most dangerous season in the show's history in hopes of being crowned the sole survivor.
It was a lot of fun. It really was a dream come true. You know, I'm certainly happy to be eating again and to be sleeping in a bed again. You know, you never really get used to that stuff. But the show itself was really incredible.
And something else he did not mention, he said, don't let his size fool you. You saw he's very thin. He obviously could not tell us how he did this season. We're just going to have to wait and see. And of course, we are rooting for him all the way. You can catch the season premiere of Survivor tonight at 8, and that's followed by FBI at 10. Then we invite you to stick around with us for CBS4 News tonight at 11. You know, it's so hard because the show's already pre-taped.
Yes, exactly.
So we're trying to get stuff out of him. And he's like, I can't say anything. So he says it was great. He had a fantastic time doing it.
I was just looking, and mind you, while he's skinny,
yes.
He is still leading the odds for winning the whole thing.
Oh, well, let's hope so.
Along with another man, Jonathan Young. They say because he's clever and he's good at several strategies. So perhaps he might have won it all.
Let's hope so. I mean, he was very humble. Let's see. You know, I just said, if you win, you know, we'll come and we'll invite you over.
Yeah, especially since he's won a lot of money.
From here. All right, exactly. Well, coming up next at 6, catch us. A traffic stop in Miami takes a deadly turn. A police officer opens fire. This morning, one man is dead, another in custody. What happened here?
And also ahead, the former leader of the Proud Boys arrested right here in Miami, waking up in a federal prison, what he's charged with in connection with the crisis at the Capitol.
CBS4 News is sponsored by Acura of Pembroke Pines, proudly saluting our troops with a $750 special military appreciation savings.